So I think I'm going to start with you, Anne, and have you talk a bit about, from the nation's largest retailers' perspective. I know that we have conversations, we hear from our members that have conversations with buyers sometimes where they say, sort of well, not anymore. This was more like a couple years ago when they would roll their eyes and say, oh yes, the latest trend, right? Okay, today's gluten-free, tomorrow it's plant-based. So from Kroger's perspective though, what are you seeing in terms of the consumer shift that really tells you that this is a movement and not a trend?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say at Kroger, we're obviously in the business of selling what customers want to buy. So we are reacting to the what we're seeing in the marketplace, and even at Kroger, located all across the country, including in some very mainstream Midwestern places, we're definitely seeing that plant-based foods are growing like crazy. And we're able to, with our 8451 data analytics arm, dig into that at a deeper level and see things like what we call repeat rate. So people are trying these items, they're coming back and purchasing them again. We're also seeing it spread across the store. This is not limited to just the vegetarian section or the meatless section. We're now seeing it pop up in almost every department in the store. And what we're putting out on the shelves, people are definitely responding to. So customers are very engaged with the products. They're trying them. They're excited to try them, and they're coming back and purchasing them again. So,
thank you. I'm going to switch over to you, Mike, to kind of build on that. So we know that oat milk is having a moment, and we hope it'll be a long moment. And so, what are you seeing just from a brand perspective on the interest from your consumers and yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I think that first off, building off of the idea of repeat, like with a business, you can get people to buy most any item once with great packaging, promotion, etc. I think it speaks to the evolution of the plant-based food segment in regards to taste and deliciousness, that the repeat is what it is. Like a lot of people bring something home, like get halfway through, like I can't do this. I may want to. There's a lot of rational reasons, but then you start staring at that item in your fridge. You're like, I can't. I got to go back to what I had before. The growth in repeat rate amongst plant-based foods across the store, I think, indicates that the entire industry is taking deliciousness, taste, texture, like the product side to a whole new level, and I think we've seen that in the last couple of years. For Oatly, we've only been in the U.S. for a little bit, less than 2.5 years. We shipped our first cases, and when we started, not only did we face all the normal challenges of how do I get someone to know my brand exists or what my packaging looks like, but while there had been a handful of companies doing oat milk amongst broader portfolio plays, it was less than 0.1% of the whole market. So you had to also create a whole other category. And I think that what was incredibly daunting to us about that is we looked at the segment of the alternatives to cow's milk, and you had really dominant forms like almond and 70-80% of the category at that time. But we've seen really great adoption. We've seen lots of participation from other companies in the category looking to get in on oat milk. And I think that what that tells us is that while it shouldn't be an impediment to thinking that the category's already done or developed. Like if we believed it was over, then why would you even try to introduce a whole nother format? Because one dominant segment had already kind of tipped the scale, and where would you go from there? But not only are we seeing the entire pie grow, meaning more and more people coming into plant-based, but you're also still seeing a shift amongst the segments there, which should be, and I think you can look at that across, even if, pick an area of plant-based foods, I wouldn't view that as that it's already done. Like I think it's still early, and you're still gonna see shifting amongst dominant formats, packaging, product, source ingredients, all of those. And I think we've taken a lot of heart from that, and that we've been able to, in a pretty short amount of time, been able to see that adoption of oat milk as a segment. But I think that's highly transferable to the growth and where the industry is as a whole. And that if I was starting a company tomorrow in the plant-based segment, like, wow, this is great. Like, have a great point of view and a great product, and the the category is not so defined that it would be a barrier for me to actually experience success.
Yeah, it's a really good point about the variety. I mean, it's one thing I talk about in the milk category, that there's no grain or seed or nut that has really been untapped, it seems, for turning into a milk, which obviously just creates more options for the consumer. So, if somebody says, oh, I don't like soy milk, almond milk, which tend to be the dominant options available in most conventional stores anyway, I say, well, go try one of the other dozen options out there. So it really does create lots of ways that a consumer can kind of enter the category.